Hello, good evening. I'm Hex, and I'm going to be playing some City Skylines. Not two, but one. So I'm on this map I created. I actually had this idea just this morning. I was scrolling through Facebook and saw a post from a Ontario government agency about about how pretty much all of Ontario has free available elevation data. And so I thought, I've always wanted to do something in like sort of the northern Ontario, Quebec kind of areas on the Canadian Shield. And so, I mean, so I made this, so I figured out how to get height maps into City Skylines and made a map out of the Sutton Gorge, which is a relatively northern part of Ontario, not too far from Hudson's Bay. Yep, and so my connections are the sort of standard in the middle of nowhere Canadian highway. That's just like 2 lanes and a railway. There is air travel. There's an air line going overhead, but there are no shipping routes, no agriculture areas. There is mining and quite a bit of forestry. I think in real life the actual area is more tundra than boreal forest, but I wanted forest, so I used some artistic license for that part. But yeah, let's conquer the Canadian wilderness in the winter. So I'm going to define where my collector is going to be for the first neighborhood. For the entry for the highway exit, I'm going to use these 2-lane road with medians. I do have traffic precedence, so I'm going to do something a little fancy with that. I have road lengths, though. Oh, because I'm in the freeform road. There we go. So I'm going to have an exit off of both sides. And that'll go up to an overpass. So that it can cross the railway as well as the highway. So about here, I'm going to disallow left turns. So this stays as like a low access highway. So adjust these speed limits. Don't need to go all the way down to 40 for this. Oh, and I can also set priorities. So highway gets priority, and the entrances have to give priority. Bring this down to ground level. And to help make this collector less attractive as a through traffic, I'm going to have it curve up to a intersection here. Actually, this would be a good spot for a roundabout. A relatively small one. That's an ugly oblong roundabout. Let's get the road guidelines turned off. They are messing me up here. To upgrade keep the collector as a non-parking, as a variant with no street parking. I want the road guidelines back. So that's going to be entrance to the collector. And I want to have put some. I'm trying to decide where I want my industry. Industry can sort of. I want it to be closer to the transportation area. I was thinking of putting it up there, but then I changed my mind. I'm going to keep it accessible by foot from whatever residential area I end up making. So I'm going to try to keep my collector free of zoning. Commercial will go on some main streets like this, and then residential can go on sort of side streets. I'm deliberately going a bit narrow with those. So that'll be our neighborhood grid. And we'll have an industrial grid. Keep it parallel to the railway. And maybe leave room over here for an eventual rail connection. Entrances like that. And eventually, once we get paths, I will sort of connect them in. I'll keep a sort of pedestrian grid connected in. All right, utilities. Going to need... I'm going to have to use coal because the wind on this map is kind of sad. So we'll put this... Excuse me. This coal plant in here. Eventually we can transition to geothermal. Also, there isn't a whole lot of current either, so I'm going to use the waterway. The water infrastructure that doesn't use a river. So we have water tower, which is essentially like a well and a water tower, and then water treatment plant, which deposits wastewater in the ground, I believe, or something. It creates a lot of ground pollution. Not enough money. Let's cut back some of the grid here. All right, so now I can start zoning. So the residential will be like this. Can start the simulation. And I'm just going to cut a whole bunch of budget stuff because I am overbuilt on everything. curious to see some people use this interchange. For a while, it'll just be through traffic. Now we're starting to see people enter the city. We have an ore mining truck delivering coal to the power plant. Got a whole bunch of industrial demand now. Gonna leave a spot for another water treatment plant though. There's a platoon of cars entering the city. Starting to break even on income. Do need to start paying for electricity properly, though. There we go. Yeah, the idea here is that vehicles will never cut left in front of oncoming traffic to leave the highway. Looks like we already have a level up. Time to figure out some education, snow removal. That'll be important. Snow dump is under roads, so we'll put that there. Industrial people are angry about the snow dump for some reason. Extend the grid here so I can put in a recycling center. Then I'm going to need a loan in order to get the school. Should check on my electricity again. I could do taxes as well. Let's go up 2%. Budget, push the electricity up. And we could put school and medical clinic. have water shortage, so I'm going to return the funds to that. Also, the road budget will now start to matter. Because it funds the snow dump and the snow plows. Now that it's starting to snow. You should start seeing the snow pile up and start seeing snow plows. The money is trickling and rather slowly, so going to have power outage again. Just restore everything to 100%. There's a snowplow. And start seeing the snow texture start to become more and more visible. Snowplow comes along and it disappears. I think that's one of my favorite mechanics in this game. Worldly vision. World. My brain is not doing words. Worthy village. Can get police station, firehouse, high capacity school if I really need it. Let's put a fire station here. We can put the police station on the same road after we take a loan. Electricity is getting more and more used. Probably gonna have to use another coal plant. There's an advanced coal power plant. $56 versus 40 megawatts. Twice 19 is 38, so it's nearly twice as much for... It's not much of it, not a very good deal. Let's put in another coal plant. Okay, so I still have some money left over that I can use to expand. So I'm going to put another entrance, or yeah, exit entrance to the highway on this side of the square. Well, I don't necessarily need to build it just yet, but I do want to make sure the space is there. I can use the planning road tool, which is a mod. So if the bridge starts there and lands there, I can then put a roundabout here. So this collector will go up to this roundabout. Don't want the one-way roads, though. All right, that should be good. I can have another commercial main street. send it that way. This collector is going to come back down this way. Maybe even an arterial would go off in this direction. So let's try to keep the keep this neighborhood confined to contained, like not going past this line here. I think that I'm going to have a collector come down like this and around. Okay, and now I have excess demand for residential. I am noticing that I accidentally zoned through a protected corridor right there, so I'm going to undo that. I need to undo the zoning on these roads so I can get the residential in. We'll keep this space reserved for industrial and commercial. And we'll continue expanding in that direction. And if I do expand in this direction, I might as well put in the interchange to the highway. Basically going to be identical to that one. How many spaces away was that? That's like 3. One, two. Go there. Go this way. And we'll do some traffic precedent modifications. Make sure there are no left turns allowed. Adjust the speed limits. We want 80 through there. And then priority for the highway. figure out the next I want to have an arterial road cutting through the middle of the space here. So we use the 4-lane. I've unlocked fishing industry. I might actually try to take advantage of that. We have parks and plazas now, which is useful. I can now use the paths. From here to there. So just extending this grid via pedestrian paths to the collector road, and then further into the industrial zone. All right, 4-lane arterial. This is going to plug into that side of the roundabout. And in the middle here, we'll put in another roundabout. Trying to make sure it's actually circular. We can have a collector coming off of here. This collector further dividing the space into two. Do the commercial main streets. Actually, now that I have parks, I can do fences, which I do like to use to control the zoning grid here. I don't want anything zoned off of this arterial road. And I like this better than the. I think that's a traffic president thing that lets you control that. But I prefer the fences. Something I wish City Skylines 2 had. Okay, so collectors are isolated, arterial is isolated. Start filling in the grid here. So these roads are not going to connect, just to avoid having actually these ones could join up without any adverse traffic implications. This is all to control heavy traffic through neighborhoods, so you can do that by making it more of a pain in the butt to go through the neighborhood than it is to take the main road. Road. And I have not been awake this week yet. All right, let's get some snapping back. Going to fill out the space with street grid. See, I can do that here as well. Okay, so we have a bit of a grid here. Next, I want to try to make the grid a bit more connected with pedestrian walkways. We'll eventually remove the fences where where the fences that get in the way of these, but this road really should just go as far as it can. Probably won't be the nicest place to live over there, but oh well. I'm not going to connect the arterial in because I don't want to encourage that as a pedestrian route. That is intended as a car sewer, so we'll keep people out. Try to keep pedestrians from even wanting to use that. But I will have pedestrian overpasses, like say, coming off of these commercial main streets. Though I will want to connect these, the tips of these. Let's fix the gaps in these fences now. And these collectors will eventually be upgraded to have trams. They'll serve as the low speed transit corridors of the city. Okay, now let's sort out the plumbing. Go into this neighborhood first. Yeah, first we'll fill out the rest of this original neighborhood. I'm starting to run out of money, and I'm not entirely sure I'm going to be able to afford to bolster the utilities to accommodate growth. I should focus on growing my tax base where I can. I feel like streamer mode in Discord is backwards because it made a noise, but didn't tell me where the noise came from. I would prefer to not hear the noise. You know? Alright, so demand for commercial is growing nicely alongside the residential. Just keep this all commercial, and then residential continues this way. Also, now that this roundabout is more complete, I'm going to have to do some traffic president stuff with it. Make sure it gets used correctly. Make sure vehicles in the roundabout, I actually said it, I'm Canadian, roundabout get priority. I'm not going to worry about these two yet, they are not going to get heavily used just yet. The next expansion, I'm probably going to go north. I would like to straddle the highway a bit more. Oh, I did notice that I have 4-lane roads now. I don't have highways yet, but I have the 4-lane narrow road, so I can sort of get a turning lane situation here. This goes to the right, this goes straight, and this only goes into that right lane. The priorities are preserved. Nice. Let's see how this works out. I think that reset the speed limits in there. Let's get these back up to 80. So now the vehicles... Oh, that's not good. Supposedly, the vehicles that are turning don't slow down in front of vehicles that are trying to go through. Looks like it sorted itself out. These vehicles are stopping. I think it has to do with that road segment being too short. I think I was seeing the same phenomenon here, so I'm going to adjust this. Get the speed limits fixed. Okay, let's return to the city. We have trash piling up. Let's get a loan. These recycling centers are kind of expensive. And this one is pretty much full. And we have power issues. It's gotten cold. So as the temperature goes down, your power demand goes up. So I'm going to respond to that with a budget adjustment there. Seems to have barely helped. My industrial demand is picking up. However, I want to leave some room here for train station. I can't remember how big the train station is. I want to leave like just enough room for just the train station. I can start another industrial grid in this space here, actually. Do it parallel to the tracks here. And this is going to be a collector that eventually loops back around into this area. So the grid to that size, and we can make it 2 grids wide. Send this collector a bit further north. We can line it up with the grid here and have an exit there. And I'm out of money. What's this complaint here? Not enough fuel. Buy more fuel. There is a truck approaching. Looks like he's back there somewhere. There it is. Not the donut van. Or truck. Gonna follow this ore truck. The electricity situation is worsening. Actually, I'm going to have to do a tax hike, I think. Let's go up to 12. Right, so we got our coal delivery finally. See what we can do with city policies. There's not much here yet. I was going to do fishing stuff. I don't think I can afford fishing stuff, though. The fishing harbor is $8,000. Maybe we can put that in here. What do we have here? We've got water issue. Something we can fix. The water tower in the roundabout. We're also going to need treatment. The Eco Inland treatment plant is $4,000. The regular one is $250. It has twice the capacity, so oh well. The electricity situation is getting to be an issue. The power plants are expensive. They're $19,000 each. Things I can do is implement power usage policies. So let's start creating districts. So this is clearly a confined industrial district. So let's see if we can implement power usage. Power usage, it's $5 per building for moderately reduced electricity consumption. I think that needle has noticeably moved. I wish I could see, like, I wish it would show me the actual usage of utilities for a given district. So you can actually, like, check that what impact your policies are actually having. So this is going to be a district. And I don't want to do this like citywide immediately, because it might just tank my tax revenue. Oh, we just unlocked trams, so the game has officially begun. Weren't really playing until now. Just sort of existing. Alright, let's try the power usage here. Oh, and I can do citywide recycling. Let's do that. And recycle plastic. And extra insulation. What about power plants? Didn't unlock any new power plants. Alright, let's just, for insurance purposes, plop a coal plant on the end there. We can now finish off this grid. Plummet into the water system. And zone the industrial. With power, ideally. Okay, so now my weekly income is actually going down. But let's undo the power usage here. You can get 200 per week back by turning off the recycled plastic. We're supposed to develop where I put the power lines. Do need to make sure I have some of these other amenities here. We do need death care, so I'll put a cemetery in there. Make sure it's watered. We're Also going to need a high school somewhere at some point. And we already need a regular school back here somewhere. I am now low on money again. Can return the power budget to normal. Now that I have the third coal plant. That is bringing my income back up. Might as well take off the recycled plastic too. It's for the children, literally. I need $10,000. And I can go ahead and start zoning in here while I wait for that money to come in. Leave room for the schools. Also leave room for a park. This roundabout will need to be processed now. I'm confusing all the vehicles trying to drive through here. Let's just delete that. That's like, it's costing me money. All right, I need to do plumbing. Still need money for the schools. Taking out my loans already. Got worker shortages. Should probably build those pedestrian facilities. and actually get to work more easily. So hopefully the enhanced pedestrian access will improve the workers' situation up there. I really want those schools, though. There's one. They haven't really been able to think about transit yet. Sort of pinching pennies just to get schools. Have a fence blocking path there. While I'm waiting for money for a high school, I could put in a playground. Plant trees as well. I've got more fences blocking paths. Broke that house. Sorry, man. allegedly pine trees, but they are massive. How's my money? $6,000. Right, electricity is starting to push my budget, or push its capacity already down to 18 degrees Celsius. Question is, we do have access to heating plants, but they are expensive. 60,000 for the boiler station, 55 for the geothermal heating plant. So they're big. And loud. Let's just push up the budget for electricity. Let's just keep it just maxed. 150% power all the time. Power plants are complaining about fuel supply, though. There's a truck coming. Could be the fact that I've used these narrow highways, these 2-lane highways, instead of like a proper 4-lane thing. So they're like getting stuck or delayed. More housing in here. High schools are 24,000. Have have this space ready for one. So it appears that when these power plants are low on fuel, they operate at a reduced rate. So where's the fuel for this plant at now? Still way out there. It's cold stored for 1 week. I'm going to have to put in another power plant now that I have $21,000. Would have liked to put that into a high school, but people are cold, and the coal trucks are getting stuck. I do have terrain tools now, so maybe I can create artificial high wind locations. So like if that is not what I wanted to do. I create an artificially high wind area. Just keep pushing this up and up and up. That looks like it's got wind. I mean, how much soil did I just use, though? Too much, but when I have the money, I can start putting wind turbines on these hills. Some snow buildup now. Where's my coal? It's not even within view. Like, seems like the supply mechanism is broken. Very bright fire here. I haven't done like smoke detectors yet. $5 per building. Let's do citywide power usage, see what happens. This could tank my income. We can start the cheesy wind farm. You can move the wind turbine with the terrain tools. That's amusing. Not enough money. Yeah, that's not cheap to do that. Oh, and I'm negative. Yeah, so that power usage thing was too expensive. Maybe the smoke detector was too expensive too. Because they're both $5 per building. Deficit is dropping still. Now we're positive. Let's swap the two. Smoke detectors for power usage. Oh, my power plant stopped complaining, so I guess the coal arrived. Eventually. Oh yeah, my electricity demand has, or capacity has gone way up now. Still don't have money for a high school. I'm also running out of space in here. So that arterial is going to continue across the river in that direction. So this So I'm going to need another collector going toward this peak and then turning back in. So probably going to have another roundabout right by the river. When I have money again. I can extend this grid. Can probably lower my power budget. Lower it a lot more than that. Let's put it down, back down to normal. It's fine. Okay, so I can... That's some money I got back. just noticed something. The way my road hierarchy is intended to be used is I have these collectors. So these roads that come off of the traffic circles are collectors, and those are meant for, like, for traffic that goes between neighborhoods. And these would also be used to for deliveries to commercial zones to be delivered. But I'm noticing that because I've hooked these areas in, so these commercial areas, there is a way for the industrial area to send trucks through all of these residential areas. So they want to go from here in this industrial area along whatever fastest route takes them to these commercial zones. And I'm realizing that this sort of connected grid is giving them a potential route through the neighborhoods. And here we can see a donut van going back to the factory through there. Actually, a better way to see what's using these is here. Okay, so we don't have a whole lot of trucks trying to use this road. It's all city service vehicles, private vehicles, pedestrians. Here we have, yeah, there's a truck heading back that direction. What about this one? Not a whole lot of truck traffic there. And much more trucks here. Although none of them going toward those zones. So it's not an issue yet. Something for me to keep an eye on in the future. Alright, starting to see some money again. Let's rejuvenate that loan so I can get that money faster. Now we can afford a high school. And the money left over, we can start putting together next neighborhood. So this arterial is going to go straight off of here. Then I'm going to want an not an arterial, but a collector going along that direction. So it more or less follows that stream, that creek. And then another traffic circle. Roundabout thing. Put it in here. I think I can do curve straight into the into that roundabout. Going to need another roundabout there. I'm roundabout happy on this map. But I am using them as the standard intersection between anything between collectors and arterials. Let's go make a smaller one. A bit lopsided. We'll see how it turns out. Not as bad as it could be. So I won't worry about it too much. Okay, so that's collector, and then we're going to have another one, another sort of meandering collector down here. Another straight. That. Have a sharp-ish curve toward there. And I'm out of money. A little bit unfortunate. I'd want to get both of those two spots to properly make use of this relatively flat area. All right, there we go. And then I'm going to take an industrial road out of the bottom here. And that is going to go into a fishing industry. Eventually, a fishing harbor. Power plants are complaining about coal supply again, though. We're also starting to get garbage pile up. This one's at 19, 200,000. This one's at fluctuating at 200,000. So we are at capacity with the recycling centers too. See if we can get away with more taxes. Other thing I can do is speed up time, but I'm not a fan of doing that. All right, there's the power crisis. Let's crank up the electricity funding. The RCI demand is balanced at least, so in that respect the city is at least stable. Although this is starting to concern me. Lack of educated workers. Although the demand for highly educated isn't there yet, so as long as we have the high school, it should be good. Should be able to fill that eventually. $12,000 now. Electricity is stabilized. Let's go for the fishing. So now I have to create a route. So the red is salmon, and the yellow is anchovy. The other two we'd have is shellfish and tuna, but I think you need like an ocean type location for that. So that'll be our fishing route. Put in a pedestrian path. Get a fishing boat. So as it goes along, fish loaded bar goes up. We are starting to get a heavy garbage crisis here. Though it shouldn't be too long before we have enough money for another recycling center. See if I can throw money at the issue. More money, more vehicles they can send out. The number of vehicles is not the bottleneck I'm running into. It's the capacity of the recycling centers. I don't have recycled plastic, so for another 200 I can get 20% more efficiency out of these. It's a lot cheaper than building another recycling center. Also, good news on the power front is that the geothermal plant is, I think, getting unlocked at the next milestone. Looks like every time a boat enters the harbor with fish, this little bar goes up. Although it looks like it's fluctuating up and down. And I assume at some point a truck will spawn and export the fish or deliver it to a generic industry. recycling centers are still fluctuating between full and not full. So there's the money I need for recycling. Let's put that over here. Now that they're really having an issue. That garbage truck filled up instantly. I think my next tile I'm going to get is this one, just so I can put in put in an interchange here. The other thing I could do is have an industrial exit on this side, but I don't want to have like a potential throughway through there. Unless I put it down here. Meh. This roundabout needs attention, though. This one too. So the budget for the fishing is down here. So currently it's costing $80 a week. Hasn't produced any income yet. 0.62% of my expenses go to fishing. I'm also noticing that this side of the map has no fire coverage. So I'm going to have to fix that. Mostly because I haven't really been able to afford to put services wherever I want. Almost have enough for fire department. Put it in one of these side streets here. Two freight trucks are in use at the fishing harbor, though. There's one heading back. That's a police car. It's not a fishing truck. Pedestrian bridges are being well used. Lots of people walking to work. Every one of these is a car that is not on the road. do want to expand in this direction eventually. Just concerned about the power situation. All right, let's start getting some commercial main streets. Same story as before. One there, one there. So I'm going to actually use this feature because the fence thing was not actually working as well as I wanted it to. So I'm just going to disable all of the zoning grid on these roads. Might undo a bunch of the traffic precedent stuff on these roundabouts. Yes, it did. Mods. I'm usually not a fan. Is that a fishing truck? Just a van. And I have accidentally diverted him into the fishing harbor. So I hope he enjoys that. So those are all the commercial main streets, and then residential streets will branch off of those. Oh, I want the grid though. Oh, and I'm out of money. that right there. Residential grid can start. I want that distance from the collector to define where the residential grid is. Severe shortage here. That power plant has stopped working entirely. Somehow my city has not not experiencing any blackouts from that. Let's see about expanding the wind farm. As soon as we get 6 grand, new wind turbine. Sound of that coal truck. Nope, that line goes all the way off, out of view. There's water. Water availability is taking a hit, so I'm gonna go down another water tower. So that one's getting dangerously close to having ground pollution. As soon as we can, I'll put one down here and then move the other. $3,500 for one of these. There's one. How much to move this one? 700, so not nearly as bad. So, the fishing industry has officially started profiting $400 per week. It's 2.82% of my income. Nice. See if there's any visible impact to the resource. Nothing yet. I don't know if that's a feature of this game at all. Something to keep an eye on, just in case. Give this in this path it's the boats are going. Does the red color sort of disappear? Is it possible to overfish? Let's continue making this grid. We'll do these sort of cul-de-sacs. We'll try to get some utilities out here as soon as possible, just so we can get more tax revenue. Come on. It's 47 megawatts missing from my grid because of this issue. I should just delete it. It is still costing me money to operate. prepare for another wind turbine. I don't think that truck is coming. Let's just get rid of that. Repurpose the land for industry. So I will, that should get rid of a money sink as well as provide a tiny bit more tax revenue. Now that I can start building out this wind farm. I appear to have locked more fishing stuff. There's a fish market. Fish factory. Oh, and I got busy town. Okay, so that means I have access to geothermal. All right, let's pay off these loans, retake them so I can finance this power. The geothermal in here. Now we can take out the coal. Overdid it a little bit, so I have to push my budget up. Need another 65,000 to put a second one in. Yeah, that's a bad idea. How many do I need? I need like 11 megawatts, so I can do a couple of wind turbines. There, that just about covers it. Barely. Need another one. Industrial demand is increasing. I'm going to put a little bit in here. Nah. I wonder if I do like agriculture specialization, even though there's no fertile ground, I might still get like food-based industries. Let's try it. The real cereal. And I still have no public transit to speak of. Push the industrial grid southward. So I do have increasing demand for it, but I really don't want to fill in the space yet until I have cargo trains. Work on filling this space out, though. While I have money for it, I can put in a school. This side of things. See if there's any ground pollution coming out of here. No, there isn't. Over here, I'm going to try using self-sufficient buildings for residential zone. Just to help with the energy situation. These citizens are walking huge distances. This person is over here, walking around that traffic circle, all the way down here. In the winter. Industry demand is rising again, though. Now that we have some money again, let's see what we can do about fish. We have fish farm now. Another thing that has to be placed. Put this one over here. I kind of wanted the fish stuff relatively close together. So I might have to undo some of that industrial development. Okay, let's squeeze this in here now that I have money. So I guess it doesn't matter to the fish farm that those fishing boat routes are going through it. It does matter to me though, so I'm going to change that. These don't cost anything, so... We'll find out how useful those are. Other questions I want to answer are how big are the other buildings, like the... So that was the fish farm. So there's the fish market, which is massive. And then the fish factory, which is also massive. Market produces ground pollution. Not the market, the factory produces ground pollution, so that would have to go in here somewhere. It's $25,000. Fish market is a bit cheaper at $15,000. Put that probably up there. We're not going to need any of this for that, though, so Go ahead and zone that. Make sure it's not generic. That will make ground pollution. You could even put zone buildings on the shore here. Create a bit of an industrial waterfront. Let's give this district a more fitting name. Fish Heights. I'm up to $15,000 now. How's my power? Power is decent. Now, the number I would like to see is 40,000. Let's get rid of this loan. It's costing me, what's the weekly? $400 per week. Ironically, the larger loan costs less per week. You're stuck with it for longer. Zone some more stuff. This will be more self-sufficient housing. Let's take out a loan again so I can put in a high school. Right on edge there. And we're having power issues. Right, let's prepare for more wind farms, wind turbines. Okay. What's going on here? Not enough raw materials. Interesting. They're having a similar issue as these guys, as the power plants. Their inputs or imports are getting stuck somewhere. up the highway. Fishing industry is increasing its profit. I do want that fish market though. 15 grand. Although I think we're gonna have to call it soon. I think I will return to this. Maybe Friday. I think tomorrow I'm in the mood for some more scrap mechanic. We're almost to 15 grand. I haven't really explored these industries much. At least not the fishing ones. So there's our fish market. Clean up the terrain around it. Oh, it wants water. Why do you need water? It's got a stat for tourists. So we could be seeing tourist draw. And there's a power outage. This is temperature fluctuation. So the temperature is rising and the power use is, power consumption is dropping as a result. Anyway, I think I'm going to call it. If anyone's been lurking, thanks for dropping in. This has been somewhat interesting. Got to admit, my brain isn't working exactly well. So, thanks for, so if you've been lurking or you're tuning in after the fact, I hope you enjoyed seeing what I had to, seeing how I worked my way through this City Skylines thing, and I should be back probably tomorrow for some scrap mechanic, and then maybe again Friday for more City Skylines, because I do want to come back to this. Aside from like the annoying thing with the power, I'm pleased with how this is turning out. I'm liking my road network. So far seems to be working all right. I'm a little concerned that these roundabouts are a little too small. I'm noticing that cars are sort of, especially larger vehicles like trucks, are sort of stopping and not entering the roundabout as soon as they could. That are hesitating, and that can be a result of the road segment being too short. But it's not causing any like backups or anything yet, so should be okay. But anyway, thanks again. Thank you. Words are hard at the moment. Have a good evening. Have a good night.